So today we are kind of moving on past our Algebra 1 stuff we've been doing for the last week, okay? We're moving into our next unit here in geometry stuff. So we're going to be talking in this unit about ratios, proportions, and similarity, all right? We'll be in this part of the unit for the next 2 weeks or so. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about today is ratios. So a ratio is a comparison of two quantities using division. All right. Now there's several ways to write a ratio. You could write it like this, A to B. You can write it like this, where it's A colon B, or you can write it as A over B. And all of those you would say A to B, basically. But there's more than one way to write this, and all those mean the same thing within this context. All right, so on this first one, in Logan's High School, there are 190 teachers and 2,650 students. What's the approximate student-to-teacher ratio to school?
190.
Okay, now on this, the order matters.
2006.
Okay,
190.
good. So 2650, yep, 2650 to 190. So there's 2,650 students and there's 190 teachers. So if you simplify that, what do you get?
265 over 15.
Okay. So the ratio of students to teachers is 265 to 19. So for every 265 students, there's 19 teachers. Okay. Now in a ratio, it doesn't just have to be the comparison of two numbers. You can compare three or more. So on this next one, it says the ratio of the measures of the angles in a triangle is 3 to 4 to 5. Okay? The ratio is 3 to 4 to 5. So you can see here it's comparing three things because obviously in a triangle there's three angles. So what this ratio means is that in this angle it's 3 parts, and in this angle it's 4 of those parts, and in the last one it's 5 of those parts. Okay? So that's the ratio. For every 3 here, it's 4 there, it's 5 on that one. So which one of these is going to represent the biggest angle? The 5x, obviously, the 5, and then the 3 is going to represent the smallest. Okay, this has this right here, but I want you to scribble this out because it doesn't even come close to what this is going to look like. So just scribble that out, and let's draw a triangle, something like this. It's not perfect, but get us way closer than what that one does. Okay, so for every 3 parts in this angle, there's 4 parts in this one, there's 5 parts in this one. Now, in the triangle, the 3 angles add up to what?
180.
180. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say 3x plus 4x plus 5x equals 180. All right, and just solve for that. So 3, 4, and 5 add up to
12.
So we get 12x equals 180 divided by 12. Okay. So up here in this ratio, it's 3 to 4 to 5. So for every 3 parts here, it's 4 parts here, it's 5 parts here. So now I know what the parts means. It means 15s, okay? So for every 3 15s in this one, okay, it's 4 15s here and it's 5 15s here.
That's so confusing.
Okay? So for every 3 parts here, it's 4 parts here, it's 5 parts here. The parts means 15 in this case. There's 3 15s here, 4 15s here, 5 15s here. So how big is that angle?
45.
This angle is 45 degrees.
60 and
This one is 60, and this one's 75. Just plugging that 15 in, right? And so now if you added these 3 numbers up, 45, 75, and 60, what's that going to add up to? It's going to add up to 180, and those numbers, 45, 60, and 75, are in the ratio of 3 to 4 to 5, because if you wrote them like this, 45 to 60 to 75, and I don't know if your calculator could simplify that. But if you simplified this down, I mean, that's going to simplify down to 3 to 4 to 5.
So you can put that in the calculator and it'll simplify for you?
I don't know if you could have a ratio with 3 in your calculator. I don't know.
How do you make the ratio? Is it like a, you control?
Well, I mean, your calculator's going to do it as a fraction.
Wait, let's see.
Now, because if you do that, it's gonna assume that the numerator or the denominator is a fraction.
Oh, yeah, can you do that?
So it's not going to give you. Yep.
I can do that.
Okay, number 2. In a triangle, the ratio of the measures of the sides is 2 to 2 to 3. Now, on this one, it's talking about how long the sides are. Okay? Here's talking about how long the sides are. This was talking about the angles. So this was a little bit different. But it says that the ratio of the sides is 2 to 2 to 3. So for every 2 parts on this side, it's 2 parts on that side, it's 3 parts on this side. So what type of triangle is this?
Isosceles.
What type of triangle is this?
Isosceles.
Isosceles. It's got 2 sides that are the same length. So it's going to look like this. So for every 2 parts on this side, it's 2 parts on this side, it's 3 parts on that side. Now the rest of this says, okay, it's 2 to 2 to 3, but it says that the perimeter is 392. So what does perimeter mean? It means all the way around the outside, right? So that's what it's talking about, is if you were to go all the way around, that's how far around this thing is. So, I mean, that's exactly what the perimeter is. So it's these 3 added up to give us the total. So it's going to be 2x plus 2x plus 3x equals 392. All right, so if we solve that, how many x's is that? So 7x equals 392. So x equals 56. Okay, so I said for every 2 parts here, it's 2 parts here, it's 3 parts here. Now, again, I know what parts means on this one. It means 56. So for every 2 56s here, it's 2 56s here, it's 3 56s here. And the question is, how long is the longest side? It's what? 168 inches. All right. Let's flip it over to the back. Well, not. Okay. All right. So when you compare 2 ratios, when you set 2 ratios equal to each other, we call that a proportion. I know that's a tiny spot right there, not very good planning, but an equation stating 2 ratios are equal is called a proportion. All right, so I'm on the back side here.
Oh, what about the 2?
Imagine if I dress like this every day.
What the heck?
It's the same. The top of the back is the same thing as the bottom of the front.
Solid.
Okay. So here's what's going to happen. All right, if we have A over B equal to C over D. Write that over there in the margin.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
We'll get to that in a few weeks.
For real?
Yes.
That's like easy, I think.
Alrighty. Now, what I want is I don't want either side to be a fraction, okay? So I want to get rid of these fractions. So let's start on the left-hand side. How can I get rid of that B from being underneath the A? Multiply it on both sides, okay? So what happens to these 2 B's over here on the left-hand side?
Do they like cancel out?
They turn into 1, okay? It's exactly that. It's B over B. So B divided by B, or anything divided by itself, is 1. So now we have A equals, and now we've got C times B. Okay, the B would go to the top. It's basically like B over 1, and then over D.
Yo,
Okay. Now, I want to get rid of that, the denominator on the right-hand side. So how am I going to get rid of that? Multiply by that variable. Okay, so this d over this d turns into a 1. And on the left-hand side, I have d times a, and I'm just going to rearrange that to being alphabetical. A times d. And then on the right-hand side, I have b times c. So notice where we started here. Up at the top, we had a over b equals c over d. And look at where we finished. Okay? So a times d equals b times c. So in other words, it's this. If you do a times d, that equals b times c.
That's just a long way.
So what is this that we just did right here? Okay, so I'm just showing you, this is why cross multiplication works, all right? It ends up like this. So, over here on this one, I want to find the value of x. Okay? So what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to cross multiply. And some teachers teach this like doing the butterfly method, okay? So I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to multiply on this wing right here. X times 21 is what? 21x. Put the equal sign. And I'm going to multiply on the other wing, multiplying right here. So 6 times 31.5 is what? Is 189. Okay? Now, so we're done with cross multiplying. We've got everything set up from there. Now from here, we just solve it like we normally would. So divide both sides by 21. Okay? So x equals 9. Now, here's what I want you to see. So we found the value of x to be 9, and what that means is that 9 up here makes this fraction equal to this fraction. So here's what I want you to do. 6 over 9 equals 21 over 31.5. All I'm doing is just plugging in that value of 9 for x. So what I want you to do is I want you to type that right there into your calculator. Type that in your calculator real quick. What I wrote in red right here. Type that in your calculator. Okay, 6 over 9 equals 21. Yep. So 6 over 9. Okay. So when you type that in, 6 over 9 equals 21 over 31.5.
I put 31, that's why it's false.
Okay, it equals true. Then if you happen to mess that up and that you got this equals 8, okay, that's false, right? So that 9 makes the 6/9, it makes that equal to the other one. So 6/9 is equal to 21 over 31.5.
That's how you can just check it.
Yep, so that's a way to check it. Alrighty. Let's look at this second one here. All right, so what is 2 times 4x?
8x.
So we get 8x equals... All right, now I'm going to multiply right here. Okay, on this we've got to be careful because I'm multiplying x plus 3 times 5. So I've got two things in that part of the x and plus 3.
5 times 3 and then the x.
Okay, so it's like this.
Distribute 5x.
Okay, you got to distribute. So 5 times x is what?
5x plus 15.
5x, and then 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, so then we solve. So we have 3x equals 15. Divide both sides by 3. X equals 5. Okay? All right, guys, there's too much talking. Need y'all to be quiet, please. Now, if we think about this, take that 5 and plug it back in. So 5 plus 3 is what? 5 plus 3 is 8, and 8 divided by 2 is what? 4. So remember that. That side's 4. Plug in 5 here. What's 4 times 5?
20.
And 20 divided by 5?
4.
It's 4. Does 4 equal 4?
Yes.
Yes, so X being 5 is what makes those two ratios equal. All right, I'm going to skip 3A. Let's look at 3B here. So cross multiply here. So what do we get on that?
30. No, 42.
42 equals negative 8y minus 20. Okay. Add 20, we get 62 equals negative 8y. So we'll give you a decimal.
7.75.
Negative 7.75. Okay, now on the last one. What is z minus 1 times 9? Okay, 9z minus 9 equal to, what is 7 times z plus 4?
7z plus 28.
7z plus 28. All right, and then just solving from there. So 2z minus 9 equals 28. And it's what?